So Natasha, you've been Executive Director at Talawa Theatre Company for about 4 years now. Is there an average day in the life of the Executive Director of Talawa? And if so, what does it look like?
No, there's definitely not a typical day. Every day is different, different challenges, different things to achieve. But I guess at the moment what we're doing a lot of is recruitment, where we've just created a new role. It's also, we're just firming up plans for the next 4 years. We've just submitted our business plan to the Arts Council, which took quite a long time. And so, yes, so we're just confirming our plans for the next 4 years.
So looking ahead, because I'm imagining that on a day-to-day basis you're dealing with what's coming in, the urgent stuff that needs to be done by the end of the day, but then also that 4-year vision.
Yeah, it's really hard to strike the right balance because I'm a real believer in planning. It's one of the things I found really enjoyable, but it's really hard to find that time, to carve that time out in your day to actually, or in your week, to go, look, actually we need to set some time aside because we need to confirm, and firm up and just be sure about what the next 4 years hold.
How do you make yourself do that when you've got stuff coming at you that needs to be done urgently? How do you force yourself to take the time out to do that long-term thinking? Because if you've got the answer, I'm sure everyone who works in theatre
I don't have the answer.
Okay.
I don't have the answer, and I think most executive directors, I think all artistic directors are going to hate me, but I think it's true that we tend to be the planners in the partnership. So a lot of it is about persuading your artistic director, in my case Michael, that actually the benefits of planning and try and make it as easy for him and for myself as possible. So sometimes you have to be light touch and sometimes you have to be a bit more, actually we need this because, a bit more thorough. So business planning was a little bit, we need this because, and now it's kind of, wouldn't it be nice? What do we really want to achieve? Because we know as an organisation there are key things that we want to change together. So it's about picking those conversations up now and going, okay, well, if we want to see this change, what do we need to do in order to achieve it?
Yeah. And did you always want to be an executive director? When you were a little girl, did you grow up going, I want to be an executive director one day?
No. But I mean, I had a love of theatre and a love of film and television from when I was tiny. And I think my love of theatre just grew and grew. And by the time I was a teenager, I think it's fair to say that I was obsessed with theatre. I spent a lot of my time, I'm from Liverpool, and I spent a lot of my time in youth theatre, travelling miles on a Saturday to go to classes. So I really thought I wanted to be a performer.
Okay.
And that stayed with me until I got to university and was studying theatre. And then I suddenly had this realisation that actually I'm not a performer at all. I'm not like all the other people on this course. I just don't have that drive, that inner drive that I think you really need if you want to be a performer. But I knew that I still wanted to do something in theatre. I still wanted that to be my career. And when I left university, then I realised there was all these other jobs that you could do, all these support jobs around theatre that I didn't know about existed. So when I was, throughout my journey, I started off in marketing and press and so on. But I sort of knew I always wanted to lead something.
Okay.
I always wanted to manage something. And I think it really sort of crystallised for me when I was at the Arts Council. I was an assistant in the theatre department. And at that time, I think the Arts Council was a different beast. They had their job was a lot more fun, I think. It was a lot more about connecting people and funding people, which these days that's all under pressure. And I remember being in that role just gave you the opportunity to meet leaders all across the country, theatre leaders. And I remember thinking, I want to be like that. I want to be like him. I want to be like her. And I had a real sense of, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to run a company. I want to run a theatre.
So you would have been young to already have that sense of, that's where I want to head. I want to be a leader. Yeah,
I was in my 20s.
Okay. And what did it mean being able to see people doing it? What was it that was inspiring, or does anyone stand out to you that you went, I like their style of leadership?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you could see people who were invested in other people, I really admired that. And there were loads and loads of good examples that I witnessed and experienced, and also throughout my own career, I've had the opportunity to work for some, fantastic executive directors and work and learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a real good sense, I think, of what the type of leader that I wanted to be.
And are you able, earlier on you said that you're doing a lot of forward planning about Talawa, you're thinking about changes to the organisation. Are there any sneak peeks you can give us or not?
Ooh, what can I tell you? So I think one of the things that isn't a secret is that at Talawa, we spend half of our time producing and touring work. And the other half of our time we spend supporting black artists at all stages of their career. And for 10 years, we were really fortunate to have our own building. So we had an office and a studio, and the studio was a resource for the artists that we work with. And unfortunately, we had to move end of last year because our landlord was redeveloping the space. But for the last 2 years, we've been looking for a building. And that is really critical for us. We just feel that it helps us to do our job better. And it's really difficult to exist without it. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. And so that's one of the main things that we're focusing on and channeling a lot of our time and resources into. And then obviously we're a national company, but we're based in London, and everybody who lives and works in London knows that it's an impossible place in terms of property, whether that's personal, domestic property or commercial property. It's really, really difficult. And as Michael and I sort of feel like property developers ourselves. We've seen so many properties in London over the last 2 years, and all sort of four corners of London, all different types of properties. So yeah, we're spending a lot of resources and time on that. I haven't managed a capital project before, so yes, that will be really exciting.
Brilliant. Well, we look forward to seeing the fruits of that. Natasha Bucknor, thank you very much.
Thank you.